So yep, that was Encanto's Dos Mariposas or Dos Orguitas by Sebastian Yatra. And this is a nice little tribute from the Tabernacle Choir meetup I had this Sunday with the church friends. So you can see I'm wearing my United Healthcare Authentication hat today because it's a rather sweltering day here in Orlando. And today we have a very special Portioning with Jason episode 10. Finally, I'm going to go a little bit more British and Chinese and even Hispanic. So all three cultures rolled in one to celebrate a very special church gathering this Sunday, and also for 中秋节, which means I have prepared some mooncakes as well. So fish and chips is a very classic, holiday tradition food. And my first time ever, I'm going to be learning how to make fried stuff for Portioning with Jason. So I've elevated my skill from baking to now cooking to now finally going to go for some frying and baking in the oven. So here, right here, Barramundi, which is a very healthy type of fish from the Better Fish New Zealand company. So this episode is sponsored by Better Fish. I also have some panko breadcrumbs, which is pretty awesome. Some salt for seasoning. Some nice eggs, which are double packaged for security. And a little plug for the upcoming Coding Missions episode 6 about security and computing. So I am now trying to tell you guys the difference between authorization and authentication. For example, I want to open this jar of salt, right? They say, Jason, are you authorized to open the jar of salt? And the answer is no, because I've not been authenticated yet. So people say, okay, Jason, you're authenticated first. You've been, checked that you are really Jason Liu. You're not some imposter or somebody sus or an Orguita or somebody who's not, Jason. And then you open the jar of salt right over here. And of course, if I start, spilling the salt all over the place, or like the Red Sox or the Yankees, just bad blood with the salt, then the person will take away my permission, and I'll be back to the normal Jason without authorization to use the salt. And there you go. That is basic security in a nutshell for computing. Without further ado, here's the episode for Portioning with Jason, episode 10, Better Fish and Mooncakes Orguitas. So to begin, we gotta start with the classic Nick Giovanni, Gordon Ramsay. Dry plate and a wet plate. So I'll bring my panko breadcrumbs, which I brought from Publix yesterday. I'll sprinkle just a few panko breadcrumbs, nothing too crazy here. I don't want to make it too breaded of a better fish. So some panko breadcrumbs for the dry hand. Now, usually for flat fish like barramundi or salmon, or even just if you don't like fish, even just, crusted chicken or pork, or even if you're a vegetarian, seitan and tofu, you always want to have on your left side, the dry side, and on your right side, the wet side, which I'll be adding with some eggs. So this recipe calls for 2 eggs. So let's put 2 eggs in here and then whisk them real good. Just like the dose of from Encanto, you got a wet side and dry side for companionship. So now we got the wet side eggs in. We got the dry side panko breadcrumbs in. We can now start basically making our assembly line. So first thing you want to do is beat your eggs. So to make sure this is actually a good mix, I'm adding some salt to help your eggs get beaten down quickly. That's much better. Add some salt to beat down the eggs quickly here. And then beat down the eggs. So just use a fork or spoon or something good to help you beat down eggs quickly for the breaded fish. Now remember, the fries over here, we're not going to put in the eggs and the panko. That will be literally par baked in the oven as we speak. So just lightly beat the eggs. I don't want to see any crazy, this is not making like omni rice, just a nice beating of the egg so it emulsifies into something you can use for wet and dry batters. We're trying to make fish and chips, not fish omni rice. Now, if you're allergic to fish or you can't eat fish, you can do anything with this. You can do like chicken, pork, beef, what I mentioned before, like vegetables and seitan and tempeh tofu, anything really. So there you go. That's the eggs being nice and lightly battered. So now that the eggs have been lightly battered, we're going to make sure our workstation is nice and clean for the next part. But the fish will get a little wet. So we take the fish out of the packet. So the Barramundi fish is a relatively healthy and very small fish. You can get from Costco here in Florida or back in Massachusetts, Wegmans. Get a lot of good stuff. And just shout out to my boy, Jeremy for dinner, and also my boy Guga for helping me inspire to make this episode because I really like food channels on YouTube. So we open the fish as such. Now make sure you don't cut through the fish, just open the bag. And because this is a fish episode, I'm gonna keep my hands gloved to make sure it doesn't get contaminated. So before I put on the gloves to handle the fish, I'm gonna make sure my station is nice and covered. So I'm gonna use a cling wrap for this particular. So you want the cling wrap to be just enough to cover the surface of the board. Similar to the cake episode back last year for my birthday, we want to have a cling wrap that covers, but doesn't quite overtake the board. You like just wrap it around like this for a cling wrap. Now, usually aluminum foil is best for like par baking in the oven. Otherwise, the fish will get stuck on the bottom. That's not good for you. And neat little trick I learned from Master Chef. Add some olive oil to lubricate your tray so it doesn't get too sticky. We're gonna need this later to get the better fish. These are tongs. So we lubricate our tray with oil to make sure it doesn't stick too much to fish. Because this will be a very sticky procedure with a better fish. All right, let's try the classic wet hand, dry hand technique. I'm a newbie at this, so don't judge me too harshly. It's my first time actually making a fish fry using this approach. I know it's Florida, Southern, back in Massachusetts, just chuck it in a bowl, eat it in a chowder soup. You gotta adapt to the times. So we're gonna get the barramundi fish, which is nice and relatively not that cold. We're gonna put it in the egg wash, just sink in egg wash, make sure it's nice and covered in egg wash. And then we're gonna panko bread it. So we're gonna just panko bread it real good here. Make sure it's nice and covered for the breadcrumbs. So panko breadcrumbs are pretty easy to apply on fish. It's not too crazy hard. Just, put the panko on the top and lay your fish away from you for the breading. And that's one fish being breaded. Now I want the other pieces being breaded. So this piece is actually called the collar piece of the fish. And that requires a little bit more caution breading it. So fish, you have to be super careful, making sure there's no bones, no crazy, crazy pieces. So because this fish is so big a piece, I'm gonna do the following. I'm gonna actually fold it over itself so it can fit the egg wash. So just once again, coat it in egg wash and put it with the panko. Make sure the panko is not even thick. Don't have to worry about spreading it too much with the panko. There's gonna be a spread regardless for the fish, for a bear fish, like at this size. So once again, we lay the fish away from us. And there we go. If you think panko is too little, just spread more panko on top. It's gonna basically crisp up anyways in the oven. This we call basically a la plancha in Spanish, or basically fish with bread custarding. Or in Chinese, it's called basically 炸鱼, or nice fried fish or baked fish. And last but not least, we got the otoro or chutoro of this particular Barramundi fish, the belly meat, which is pretty awesome. So these Barramundi are relatively sustainable fish. It's not too crazy to get them in Florida. You can also fish them if you want in New Zealand, but I'd rather get them locally sourced. So once again, cover the fish with egg batter for the wet bowl, and then dry bowl this bad boy over here. And it's okay, once again, the fish doesn't get covered too much because we're gonna panko bread it anyways here. So just spread some panko on top and you're good to go. I'm no expert in basically making, bread crusted fish. This is my first time doing it, but it's a good technique to teach you how to handle a wet and dry techniques for cooking. So now that my fish has been properly breaded and, egg washed, I'll take away my glove because it's a bit messy here in the kitchen. And I'm going to par bake this for 15 minutes at 400. As I gotta get some appropriate attire for cooking. This is my mom's apron. Don't judge me. It's my also former polio apron as well. It's just protect yourself from burns and other stuff when cooking. Many YouTube chefs they want to do strange, crazy things in cooking, like cooking in the cars or the planes. That's just for skit improv. For real professional cooking, make sure you protect yourselves. All right, the fish goes in the oven. So here it is, my properly panko breaded better fish. I'm not done yet. Now let's deal with the fries. So the fries are a little bit different. They require a little bit less egg breading and more salt to break down the residual moisture of the fries. So for the fries, we put the panko egg aside. We're gonna actually make a very nice sauce out of the panko egg very soon to make a nice little hollandaise sauce for our fish. Make it really British, Gordon Ramsay. So for these fries, we're also gonna put it in a baking wrapping sheet with the Reynolds wrap here. So the beauty of this episode is that both the fish and the fries take just 15 minutes to cook. That's it, 15 minutes. And you have to worry about salmonella or anything because they are very, very well cooked. It's basically an overly well done fish. It's okay to eat even, pork, beef, or lamb, rare, medium, rare. Never, ever, just like we don't talk about Bruno, never, ever eat fish or chicken rare. You will be getting salmonella and sent to the hospital. No, never, ever eat chicken and fish rare. That is a warning for cooking. All right, so now these beautiful potato chips, we're gonna leave these crispers nice. Sorry, forgot one thing, gotta lubricate up the tray again. So once again, lubricate up the tray so it's easier to apply some proper glue. There we go. So now we can put our crispers however we like. Now these have been properly pre-crisped and pre-cut last night after I came back from a meetup. And you don't have to make them all crazy, it's just a bunch of potato fries really, and just meant to be fish and chips, but a little bit more Lou family styled. Now some of these fries are going to be a little wet from residual overnight fridge water, so you can just pat them real dry in the So these are irregularly cut on purpose because I want to make different size fries for our family to eat. So they're a little bit of a Mexican, Chinese, and British 中秋节 because I also add Mexican sauce really soon or Latino sauce really soon. So it's a bit of a tricultural food we're about to have. All right, so now hit the salt with the salt bag. But don't overly salt the fries. Just make sure they're nice and crispy. Don't overly salt the fries. Just make sure they're nice like McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, we're loving it. All right, that's good. So now make sure the salt is nice and covered all the fries. Don't over salt them too much. And we're now gonna put our fries in the oven as well. So now that our fish and fries are in the oven, we can talk about more security stuff once this thing cooks at 400 for 15 minutes. So the fish be cooking and the fries be cooking. While we do so, let's make a hollandaise sauce. We'll talk more about security. So the main ingredient of this hollandaise sauce will be here from Mayo, Chosen Foods. It reminds me of the series The Chosen. But also for some acidity, we'll add some suja lime water. And I lied. We're not actually going to use this egg. This egg will be used for something else later in the episode. We'll use some panko instead. So dipping sauce, always use ramekin. It's nice and classy. So for the dipping sauce, okay, mayo doesn't smell too bad. Get a nice dollop of mayo in here for dipping sauce. Just spread it nice and good like a tartar, I guess. Let's make it like a mayo sauce tartar more or less here for the sauce. Nice little tartar. So that's good. That's basically the mayo sauce itself. Add a little more tartar. All right, there we go. Mayo sauce is basically tartared up good. Add some nice complexity. We're going to add some Japanese. So we're going to add some nice sea salted gimme seaweed. Just crisp up some seaweed here. You don't have to chop them all so fine. Just chuck them in there and spread them in. Just chuck some seaweeds in there. Make it nice and Japanese. This seaweed is very healthy for you. So definitely, if you don't like seaweed, you can add like dill, chopped peppers, anything for the sauce. And most essential ingredient, just add some acidity, is a little bit of just lemon water for the sauce. Just add some acidity. And of course, we can use our leftover panko to breadcrumb the sauce. This is a nice little dipping sauce we're about to make for the fish and chips. All right, there we go. We got a beautiful sauce foam. So make sure the sauce doesn't look too mid. I'm gonna be bashing it and make sure the sauce is nice and chopped up. It's like nice, Japanese style preparation. Delicious. So there we go. In just 5 minutes, we made homemade tartar sauce for the fish and chips. But that's it for the cooking portion of the episode. Fish and chips and tartar sauce. And now let's get to the don't judge your Chinese portion of the episode. These beautiful mooncakes. So another portion of security that I want to emphasize with regards to mooncake as illustration is the concept of least privilege. Let's say, for example, we're on a date and I say, hey, babe, do you want some mooncakes? And then she's like, no, I'm allergic to mooncakes, but I'm willing to look at them because they look so beautiful and you're a lovely person. So multiple choice. Would you A, say, oh no, these mooncakes are mine. It's my boundary. Or B, hey, eat a mooncake. It's good for you. Or C, take the cover off and let your date look at the mooncakes and then enjoy its beautiful patterns. Just like the hardest programming in the world, C is the right answer. So the principle of least privilege is to basically do the least possible work for what you're supposed to do, AKA the most minimum amount of privilege to get your job done. No mas, no menos, no more, no less. So in case of mooncakes, I show you guys the beautiful flower pattern. You may not eat it. I'm not gonna eat it myself because I'm saving them for Zhongzhou, which is next Tuesday for Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival, for a special work and church event. But these are beautiful, mariposas and different designs. So you ask yourselves, Jason, you have a full-time job with, Optum you have, datings and stuff. How do you have time to even make mooncake? You have to, maintain a house and be with family and everything. That's where the beauty of the mold comes in. So I'll be putting in the link of the episode a very affordable from Amazon $10 mold to make your own mooncake design. Just like, Granny Smith Christmas cookies from American folk culture, Chinese folk culture is all about making beautiful pialang designs. And what better way to celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival than the mooncake? Mooncakes, I choose you. The mooncakes themselves are very easy to make. All you need is the following: 350 grams of maltose dextrite, the stuff that makes the mooncake, hold. 300 grams of baking soda, not baking powder. That'll make the mooncake blow up. You want to make a mooncake, not J6 material. And then number three, very important, 150 grams of live water, not regular water, live water, to make the ball, the sticky dough filling. And filling can choose anything you want. If you don't care about triglycerides, you could add in the classic double yolk. Me, I care about my health, obviously, so I'm adding in some lotus and some, other stuff for the mooncake. And now the history of the mooncake in Chinese culture. So there was a long distance couple called Hou and Chang'e. And Hou is the dude in Chinese culture, shot 9 sons and gave the final son a chance to live. That's where you get the son from in Chinese culture. And then Chang'e was, the down bad girl that was really missing Hou. And they were like socially distanced because of that. So one night, Chang'e and Hou decided to secretly talk, and they didn't have any ways to communicate. So guess what's the only way you can communicate? By mooncakes. And therefore, happily ever after, there's the story of Hou and Chang'e, basically long distance Romeo and Juliet Chinese version. And most importantly, the mooncake symbolizes wholeness, prosperity, and beautiful. And hence, we talk about the cycles of the moon here on my watch. The cycles of the moon. So on my watch, I have various cycles of the moon. I have a whole moon over here. Sorry, I have a whole moon over here. If we, switch the moon around to waning gibbous, it's going to be like that. You have full moon for, Mid-Autumn Festival. You got last quarter in about 2 weeks. You got waning crescent, like the solar moon, the waning crescent in about 2 weeks as well. And then new moon at end of the month. So basically, the moon is a symbolization of not only just controlling the high tide, low tide. You go surfing here in Florida or back in Massachusetts, my dad loving fishing or mom liking, gardening. The moon also symbolizes a great way for new frontiers. So for the episode number 11, I'll be talking about new frontiers. And that'll be actually around my mom's B-day. So I'll be making my mom's classics for the new episode. Mapo tofu, some soups, some great stuff around my mom's B-day week. And more importantly, I'll be having episode 7, which will talk about, for the first time ever, a completely new concept for coding missions. There are a lot of computer scientists, even myself, used to struggle, but now I'm getting quite good at, which is understanding pointers. And more importantly, how to use pointers in reference, call to reference, and call to value, and how to make your code much more efficient via pointers. So here's some pointers for mooncakes. Bake them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Make it nice and crispy golden brown. It's a nice little dating gift for Chinese companions with Latin companions. Another popular Chinese dish that I really like to make is called dan da or egg custard. That'll also be a very special dessert dish to show my the special episode in a couple of weeks. Enough talking. Let's listen to some nice little Encanto mariposas while we wait for more of the fish and fries to cook. So here's a nice little prediction. What's more likely? Me to make 50 mooncakes with my family and church friends by end of Zhongzhou next week, or the Red Sox to make the postseason? That's going to be a question because after last night, I love the Chorus Sox, but they're starting to become a problem conversation in terms of Red Sox. And it's sad. But the bright news is, you know, one of the um, one of the sisters that I'm very fond with in church, she comes from Arizona. Uh, and of course, the Diamondbacks are making playoff run. And for Shohei Ohtani, purposes, the Dodgers are going to give a nice run for the World Series. So I'm willing to trade a Celtics championship for a Yankees banner 28 or a Los Angeles Dodgers, which is not a bad idea. All right. So listen to some Dos Mariposas while we wait for the fish to cook. Of course, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is pretty good. I like the honey pepper pimento. Here we go, Encanto. Enjoy, guys. This is also a shout out to Adassa for a great job in the choir she's saying Saturday. However, however, soccer dancing. that's the Mexican and Colombian. Here's Chinese now. So definitely enjoy a good old 中秋节 with some 难忘今宵. So it's basically a Chinese classic for Mid-On Festival. 难忘今宵，不问天涯，在一块了。人生啊，我爱着你，我怎样？我忘心跳。难忘今宵，无缘天涯，会放下。人生在你，我爱着，我只能错过它，谁不放。So there you go, Hispanic and Chinese celebrations of Mid-On Festival. So the better fish should be pretty much cooked by now. Let's go double check. Of course, very important. Make sure your hands don't get burned. Hence the gloves. So this is a longer episode because of cook time. So apparently I'm gonna have to continue just delaying the episode further and further. So long story short, I will continue the episode with one more concept in security that a lot of people tend to underestimate. And this is a concept that I myself struggled a long, long time in BU, in Northeastern, in Dell, and even now in Optum. But if you want to be a data administrator, DBA, or work on big data, or even just be an analyst, you got to know about the concept of Sudo, super users. And once again, I'm going to use Mooncake as a demonstration. So let's say we have these three mooncakes, right? We want to figure out how to distribute them between users. Let's say this is the admin user group right here for the mooncake. You got an example, a piece of paper here for the privileged group users. And then because the mooncake is just beautiful to use in general, we got, in general, a nice looking mooncake here. Finally, the oven's preheating, so I'll be right back. Awesome. The fish and chips is cooking, which is good. So talk about the concept of pseudo. Here is, for example, the best mooncake of them all, the best of the three. I want to give it to my, you know, either potential GFs or roomie or family, whatever, right? So this will go to the admin side, the most coveted side for the mooncakes. Now this mooncake is a little bit more mid, a little bit more bent. You know, somebody might have been mad at red sauce, goes to white sauce, and smashed a couple of mooncakes. I don't know. Somebody got mad at mooncakes. I think it's not that great. I'll maybe share it to maybe like some of my coworkers or some people that don't hate, basically. So I give this mooncake to the group. And finally, this mooncake I'm keeping for myself is I'm a greedy B word. So the concept of least privilege is just like keeping mooncakes in different containers. every mooncake has, every container in security has a different level. And Sudo basically allows you to bring all these different mooncakes from different containers right back to the admin, which is in this nice Petri dish. Sorry, nice Pyrex dish. And this particular container contains one very important, oh, sorry, I'm looking at you guys now. One very important permission. It's called the pseudo privilege. In any programming language you use, always, 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 never by default use pseudo permissions. Because I'm telling you a story of what happened at Boston University and Northeastern. One kid who wanted to, play big brain, with the G submit or the homework assignment, and me as a TA who was, TAing a course in BU Northeastern, decided to play big brain with the submitting code, and basically wrote sudo slash users slash NWPCT. All their homework assignments, pre-labs, midterms, coding, whatever, was on display. And then one other crazy kid decided to copy all that crap down and was trying to big brain the dean's list at Boston University. Long story short, that kid got suspended and B was not good to him. So yeah, don't use sudo for bad things. Only give sudo, just like you give intimacy to your partners. Like only give sudo to those you really love and you want to basically, you know, companion for life with, basically. I consider sudo almost like a marriage to the admin privilege of computer science, almost like a marriage. That if you break sudo, you basically divorce from admin, which ain't very good, but that's what happened to many people. And that's a sad topic that we can save for another day. Without further ado, let us continue, understanding more about computer science, security, and food. So one really important concept of computing and security as well is very important is the concept of read, write, and execute, or R, W, and X. And in workplace, which I now have a beautiful work break for, thanks to my awesome manager, Chad, I have a great, awesome time for. Read is like you can read a file, write, you could write a file, and you can execute a file. Sometimes in Linux directories or Unix directories, you write, ls-ltr, and you see a bunch of stuff on terminal. That's where the permissions come from. So in general, terminal permissions are a very good way to see whether you can actually even use the file or not. So many people have the following. There's 3 dashes for first 2 groups, and then final 4 dashes. I don't know what they're for. But the first group is called the admin group, the group where you basically determine the first privilege. Then the second group is called the user group, who can basically use the file. The third group, I know what that is. If anybody's a security buff, you can tell me in the comments. But we're only going to focus on the first 2 groups. So if it says RWX, which means you can read the file, write the file, execute the file straight up. If it says R-X, you can read file, you can't write file, you can only execute the file. So quiz, what is R-X-W-? I'll be playing a little bit more 难忘今宵, and then give you guys the answer. All right, time's up. The answer is you can read the file, you can't write the file, you can execute the file, but if you have people in the user group, you can write the file. That's your answer for that particular part of the episode. And now I'm gonna double check my fish and chips again. They're looking crispy. They're looking good. No fish is undercooked yet. They're looking good. Once the fish and chips is over, we'll end the episode. So with just 3 more minutes of this episode plus some tastings. So one final concept of security that I really want to go over that a lot of people tend to miss as well, and it's quite important in data analytics, is a concept of view only and read only. So in a document file, when you have in any type of computer science background, heck, even in a church mission, you have some documents that cannot be shown to other people. You want to be able to encrypt and decrypt the security. So read-only encryptions are, for example, SHA-256, RSA, um, and even other types of MD, MDS, just all sorts of encryption files. View only has only one particular form of encryption, the Diffie-Hellman equation. Now, I have done a lot of Diffie Hellman in my BU years, and I generally know how the process works. So I'll give you a nice little Diffie Hellman quiz to pass the time. I'll write it in the chat as well. And I'll also put it in the episode description. And I basically put in the particular encrypted code. Yep, so here's the encrypted code, NWPCT. So use the C equals 6 mod 3 cipher to decrypt the code. And that is going to help. This is how you got encryption, decryption, and security for computer science. Shout out to my CS 131 class and my Northeastern security classes for this. And I'm going to finish up with some 难忘今宵 and I'll tell you the answer. Right next to a harmonized mixtape version of the show. It's just 2024. What do you expect, honestly? It's like people have dubstep, like all sorts of crazy music. Sometimes a little bit too much. I like the classic. I don't like, crazy crap music. And of course, to honor Hosier, you got to end the episode with Hosier's Too Sweet. So I'm going to make a Too Sweet Hosier reference to wrap up the episode. Don't worry, I'm not too sweet for you guys. The Hosier Too Sweet will wrap up the episode. Indeed, these mooncakes are too sweet for me. JK. Take my whiskey, my bed and my bed are free. You're too sweet for me. You're too sweet for me. I'll take my whiskey. Coffee black and my bed are free. Actually, don't do that. Too crazy for me. You're too sweet for me. Ironically, Hoja basically, describes my graduate school all-nighter bad habits. And the constant atonement of the Lord teaches you not to go those bad habits. They get reset of bad habits. So the answer, of course, from my question, C equals 6 mod 3. You divide it by 6 on both sides. You basically divide by 2. You get a cipher of turn right by 3. So the NWPCT, of course, decrypted is lunar. So there you go, guys. That's the end of the episode, coding wise. I think the fish is about 3 minutes away from being ready. Honestly, it smells like a pub. It smells like Gordon Ramsay fish and chips in here. It smells good. And also another sponsor of the episode, Suja Organic Water. This is a beautiful water, and I know like people like Mikey Chen and Nick DeGiovanni and all the other YouTubers, Chris Eats even, talk about AG1. Sometimes AG1 is just too much to pack, and you have like this different type of green boxes, and like good luck going to MCO or Boston Logan with like a whole box of AG1 and tell TSA, hey, this is for my like long distance partner or whatever. Suja got you covered, guys. Suja has ginger love, purified water, lemon, ginger, pineapple. Of course, if you're allergic to pineapple, it sucks to suck. You can't drink Suja, but it's amazing. And a shout out to my boy Mark Rover, fellow brother in Christ in church. Great channel, great opportunities, great views to use YouTube. Unfortunately, there is a sad situation with the Mr. Beast situation. So a moment of silence for Mr. Beast. Also, as a solemn note from 9/11, remember those who have proudly served for our nation. Amen. So with that sorted, rather quiet, somber ending to a rather long episode, um, but good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun dancing, singing music, Latino, Chinese, American folk music, making fishes and chips, and good tartar sauce. So I finally will now reveal the fish and the chips. Without further ado, here we go. This requires a bit of a fancier plate than the regular for fish and chips. So I'm busting out the nautical theme plates for this September. So I love to make my plating a house, based on seasonal experiences. So the fish and chips is about to buzz. We're good to go. Always make sure you have a glove for fish and chips. Always. And there we go. The buzz is here. Oh, baby. You just smell the amazing fish and chips. Ta-da! Here is my baked panko breaded better fish. Of course, the beautiful chips. So, there's a reason why I got these tongs, these bad boys for the fish. Can use them now. You can see here, here's my beautiful panko breaded fish. And now the chips. There you have it. Fish and chips a la plancha. So that's in my version of fish and chips. So let's see how Jason Liu's fish and chips taste compared to Gordon Ramsay's. First off, let's say a prayer before we can begin. Thank you, Lord, for the amazing fish and chips. Amen. So first thing you always want to do when you taste fish and chips is the fish. Here's the fish. Let's go. I'm feeling a little bit frisky and taste a nice white piece. Dip it in my homemade sauce. Let's eat. Mmm, quite good. Fish is well cooked. It's not raw. It's well cooked. Let's see the chips. Potato chips. Wow. These chips may look tasty, but they are S tier good. Healthy for you, and also not too sweet like Hosier. Thank you very much, guys. That's the end of the episode. So this is Jason Liu episode 10 for Portioning with Jason. Fish and chips with some Hispanic Puerto Rican sauce. And of course, the Chinese whipping and mooncakes. Like and subscribe, guys. I'll see you in Portion Jason next episode. And Coding Missions, episode 7, Pointer to Greatness. As always, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.